So, hi, I wanted to record a quick video about this year's conference and the ongoing voting, which will be ending on Sunday. And until Sunday, you also can get the early bird tickets, which probably will extend a bit further, but I'll have a few words on that later. So let's take a look into the browser window you see there with the conference website. Few words on the conference. Again, we meet from Thursday till Saturday. Last year, the conference started on a Sunday, first and last time ever. This year, it's back to the normal times. Um, the conference will be again hybrid, with Hubido being the platform. Um, so you can get a ticket for being on site or online, and these are available at the moment already for a few months, so don't have to talk too much about that. But I want to talk about the keynotes because we have those great keynote speakers: Titus Winters, Hana Duzikova, Herb Sutter, Peter Summerlath. Um, so Titus recently changed from being for a long time at Google and really being in an important position there to Adobe, where he now manages similar things, as far as I understand. And he is someone who has so many years of experience with C++. He has experience with the committee. He has experience with all the other things, which often influence us as developers. So I thought it would be a really interesting pick to have him open the conference, um, and then following are basically well-known C++ committee members such as Hana Duzikova giving the second keynote. Hana has been around for a long time. She's known for her regular expression libraries, and she's currently working on some other things which are kind of interesting, and she gave talks about that already, and we'll see what she does with her keynote. I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll be completely ignoring like what roles they have in the committee. Okay, it's like look it up. Yes, that's a fact, but the committee will be on the conference anyway, so you can talk about that all day long. Herb Sutter, who is like the convener, which is not the big boss of the committee, but it's like he's an organizer for the committee, you could say. And if you want to talk to Herb, be in Berlin. He'll be doing the evening keynote on Friday. Wanted to say Thursday, but that's not correct. So he comes around, travels to the committee meeting, which is the week after the conference. And also that's a nice fit for Peter Sommerlath, who has been a professor teaching C++ for many years and also been for a long time in the committee. I've met him several times at my own conference, but also at conferences such as C++ Now and CPPCon. And so always wondering what he would have to say in a C++ keynote. And he's very active in the recent times with the Misra standardization. And so these are the initial known speakers for this year's conference. Everyone else will have go through the voting, which I will be talking about in a second. This is a voting tool, short preview. And the conference is there with the keynotes, and the talks are currently in the voting. And let's talk about this a little bit. There's a news entry here. This is the main page, and if I click on the recent news entry, that basically says that the voting on the talks, which is the page where we were linking, is ending on Sunday. And the early bird tickets, the official deadline is Sunday, but I'm probably not enforcing this so much. So I usually shouldn't put deadlines on a Sunday for tickets, etc. That's something I learned because people are buying tickets not on the weekend, right? At least very few people do that. So the tickets will be still available on Monday next week, even if it's technically August 12th then. But who cares? But then when the result will be public on Tuesday, probably, um, then this period has ended. So for what talks might make it to the conference, this tool will help you. So when you go to the main site, there's an article and there's its link. It's like meetingcp.com/mcp/voting. And this brings you here. You need a login, or especially have the voting email if you got a ticket, or if you already have a ticket or submitted a talk, you should have a specially crafted link to start your voting session. And yes, this is a regular voting session, but I haven't voted on here, and I just want to click through some of the talks and just show you what talks are actually making it to the conference. And as you see here, this is a general website, and then it tells you that on Sunday the voting session is over, and this is hard coded, so Sunday this will be over. We have 115 submissions as talks to the conference. We have 33 slots for Berlin and 11 slots for the online part. So in total, 44 talks will make it to the conference. Means roughly 2 talks compete for 1 slot. As some people have submitted 2 or 3 talks, and I usually give 1 talk per speaker, sometimes 2, very rarely. Often that happens when we have to replace speakers, and I know that there's a speaker which has submitted 3 talks, and I ask them to give one of the other talks, and that's how people speak like twice or 3 times at Meeting C++ usually. But initially, I will give you 1 talk, and that's how I think like for the 44 slots which the conference has, we have like a bit more like 2 talks competing for it. And here in the background all the time, you already can see one of the submissions is Introduction to GPU Foundations and ARM Mobile GPUs. And you'll see the description here, which there are longer descriptions, there are shorter descriptions. I think that is okay. I don't want to comment on the talk if it's accepted or not, right? The outline, I don't going to click on the speaker because normal voting sessions cannot see the speaker. I can. Speakers of prior conferences usually can if it's detected by the system. It's not perfect. So if you're a speaker and you cannot see that, well, the system didn't somehow get to know that. You also can enter a comment, but that's like technically thing. And then basically, this is the outline. We will see that in other talks, this is a bit longer. You can do the voting, which is 0, which is the worst, and 5 is the best. And generally, you should like vote between a range of 1 to 4. And the talks you really, really like, or you want to attend. If you plan to come to the conference, use the 5 to make sure that this gets the best voting. This tool does not allow to compare talks against each other, and it's not for the reason that that should be done, but it's for the reason that this is basically a tool to rate a single submission, and then over time all the ratings together will give the comparison. But this tool is not about which talk is better. This tool is about what do you think about this talk? Do you want to see it? Do you want to even if you're like not coming to the conference, do you want to see the recording later, or is it not a talk which is that interesting to you? And that's the basis you should vote on, okay? And with this, we can simply go for the next talk. I also want to point out that this is random. The order of the talks is random. So when you see the first talk in your voting session, it very likely will not be this talk. It will be a different talk, and I probably go like through 5 or 10 of those talks to see a bit of a variance to show you a sample of talks submitted. So let's go and click on the next talk. The next talk is concurrency, navigating the multi-threaded landscape in C++ applications. And the talk description is the talk will explore fundamental concepts of concurrency and synchronization, shedding light on, no. Okay, I'm not going to read all of that. This is the outline, kind of, showing like what has the speaker in mind in preparation. The outline later will not be visible to the audience. Okay, this is just your ideas, your thoughts on the talk to help us, understand where you're coming from, what you're doing, and those who can see like the speaker also will see the bio of the speaker. But most people, this is an anonymous voting, and for most people doing the voting for reasons. So this is a talk on concurrency, and the first talk was a talk on GPU, which also can be concurrency, or usually is concurrency and other things, right? AI. So that's two fairly interesting talks on popular topics. Let's go for the next one. Performance engineering, being friendly to your hardware. I think that is a great talk, and we see that this is a longer talk description. And the length of the talk description does not say a lot about the talk itself. So this can be a great talk, great speaker. Don't know actually the speaker here. So this is a, kind of, and yeah, they write it's like new content for me, C++. I like to see that. But they, gave a similar talk somewhere else. That's okay. If you noticed here, it's like speaker has indicated that this talk will be presented first at my conference. I do want to say that this is kind of, I need to have talks which are like premiering, or it's kind of like a hint for me. And I want people to, be aware of that and people to see it. And I don't know what really influences this on the voting but for me, it's not a big indicator, okay? And there's a lot of speakers which give like a practice session of their talks at C++ Now or CPPCon, and then they come to meeting C++ and present an improved talk. So it doesn't have to be that it's like the premiere at my conference, but of course, I only don't want to run a conference which mostly has repeats. So this is a bit of a thing which we do. Should mention also the audience level, which is like a multiple choice, just to give a small indicator what the audience is you're targeting. And for the second talk we saw here, it's beginner and intermediate. And for the first talk, it was at 2. And here it's clearly, performance engineering is marked as an advanced topic, which I think you could also like try to give that for beginners, but this would be a totally different talk. So that's fine. Let's look at the next talk. Clean CMake for library developers. Also a very nice topic. Outline is nice and good, and they practice it at the user group in Frankfurt. So I do want to mention like that, I'm not going to click on the speaker. Of course, I know some of my submissions, so I kind of know what speaker this is. But sometimes I see like outlines which are very long. And with this, I'm not sure if the talk description could like have another paragraph. But that's a very minor thing. That doesn't mean that this talk is in any ways. I think this is really, really good. And here we see that an audience level is given that this is for beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And again, this is multiple choice. And I think that for CMake talks, this is like something where everybody can learn something from. And this is like the meaning if you see this. And again, if you want to do the voting, you can then simply do the rating. Like, do you want to see the talk? Do you really want to see the talk, or do you want to attend the talk? And here we have a talk about the Ferris within. So we have one of the few, I think 2 or 3 talks on Rust this year, we just submitted. I'm always curious to see how they do in the voting. And I thinking about like maybe in the future we have a track for other languages where it talks about Rust could explicitly be welcome and be reached out to that community and other language communities. That'd probably be a fun thing to get a bit of a different audience to the conference. Um, so the outline here is mostly slide titles if I see that. And that's often how I often do it, and that's okay. That's 100% fine, and not much not much to say about the submissions in any ways, right? Here we have an introduction to Vulkan and C++, and again we see a nice description of this talk is about Vulkan and connecting technologies. The outline is slide titles. That's a fine submission, and I have 115 of them. So you see this is another great talk which you might want to see at my conference. And then there's a talk on parallel algorithm ranges and 1DPL with some. So 1DPL is the interparallel SDL. This is interesting, but I don't know if it's like interesting enough to, this is like one of what I love about the voting. The voting really shows me as an organizer what the community wants to see as a talk and what they're interested in. And then I can make my choices. And sometimes I do choose talks which are not that interesting in the vote because I know that the speaker should be at the conference. Like this year, we have the committee coming. And then we should have some important committee members on the conference. And on the other hand, there are some topics which are not popular but still should be covered on the conference, like talks about certain libraries, etc. And fast and small when efficiency matters is also another great talk. And yeah, so just giving slide titles as an outline to just give an impression of the talk. What do you think about a talk right now is a good thing, and this is again done here. Some people just write a lot of text here. That's also fine. Generally, I think we should look at the next submission. How to start a program. That's again something where I think the voting will tell me if this is like something people want to see. Because I, as an organizer, should not really express my own bias on talks, and this is a very good submission in the case that the title is clear what it's about, and then there's a quick and concise description, and it says like here, this is a beginner-friendly talk, so you're not like asking you to know anything about that, how a program starts. I guess not every C++ programmer does know how a program starts, so that might be an interesting contribution to the conference. But so is this talk, an introduction to swarm intelligent algos, which is related to AI, which is a hype topic, but this isn't a description which has been generated by AI, as I know. So that's fine. Again, slide titles, what people have in mind, and giving us an overview on their thoughts about what they want to talk. 60 minutes, 6 points, which probably are like, chapters. Looks very good. But again, if I say looks very good, that doesn't mean anything because I have 115 good looking submissions, right? And there was a feedback mechanism which some people used and that improved for some people the submission. In the case often that they added another paragraph to the talk description. Another trap is that people write the talk description and then write the outline, and the outline contains something which isn't in the talk description. And that's often the feedback I give. And then adding links, actual links is possible. As you saw, like the one submission we had linked to papers. which I think is a nice thing to do when you have a talk description and you can place links and do that. Link to the papers or other important things if you're like talking about a library. This talk is about designing a slimmer vector of variants. And in my opinion, this is a very nice talk, but I'm not sure, like, you know, as we only have so much of space limited, and we're now at 10. So we'll see. That's why I need the feedback and the voting. Again, voting tool is the talks are randomized, and at meetingscpp.com in the voting, if you go on the website, at the moment it's the first and soon probably the second or third news entry from July, or the last from July. That will be the case. So talk 11 is managing dependencies with CMake. How hard can it be? Also interesting talk description, kind of giving a lot of space for the talk description. That's fine. C++ core routines for beginners is also a nice topic. C++ reflection, back on track. There are some news about reflection from the committee, and we are having a committee meeting in front of us. So that might be something which the audience wants to see, but we'll see with the voting. I've looked at the voting results like 3 weeks ago, and I guess they're very different now, but it looked like a good program, and some talks are just more popular. And pipeline architectures in C++ overloaded pipe operator as they expected, and its monadic operations. Also, again, like, you know, we're having now is like this very good submissions this year. Thank you to the speakers. The new library on the block, a strong library foundation for your next project, is also interesting. Yeah, similar outline. And express your expectations, a fast, compliant JSON pull parser for writing robust applications. I think now we'll go to 20. From C to modern C++, transforming the classroom and beyond. Also interesting. A little bit of bytes, x86, 64 assembly for C++ programmers. I think this is an interesting topic. And of course, have you heard about Compiler Explorer? That's a great tool. Fixing and preventing concurrency bugs in quantitative finance. For me personally, this is an interesting topic because the relevance to quantitative finance is for some of us given, and for most of us not. But I think that talks on finance are rare and always a good view into a different world and valuable feedback for the whole community. So I will see how this talk does in the voting again. You know, that's why I have the voting, to see how the program takes shape and what people actually want to see. Because this goes on. It's like every submission is actually like, you know, could be really well on the conference. Software engineering completeness, knowing when you are done and why it matters. Yeah, that's another interesting submission. And I'll give you one more, not getting lost in translations. Also, something which applies to many of us. Nice outline. And I think this is one of the talks which already has been given at other conferences, but that doesn't matter that much. There's no indicator that it premieres, and the next talk again has this indicator. Replacing strings with modern C++ in the Java native interface. I think this is a talk which is Android Chrome OS related. It's a bit niche, but it's also very interesting. And with that, I'll be stopping to click through talks. There's so many more talks, and we'd be here forever. The conference is in November. Try to get your tickets like by September. Okay, so start the process now. I know a lot of you are on holiday. Um, me too, a little bit. So I thought I'd do a quick video on the conference and the current voting. You still contribute to the voting. Um, I'll place a link in the description, and that is then forming the result, which I will post on the website next week, when things are, filtered through my programs. And I'm probably going to contact first the speakers whose talks I have accepted. And as we just saw, there's so many good talks that this will be easy for the first 11 talks, because it's like one track, and often this is the main track, because is a mix of popular talks and speakers making it to the top of the field, and then the other speakers, are competing for the other 22 slots in Berlin. 4 speakers or 5 speakers have submitted to the online track only, so they compete for those 11 slots. So I probably will give those talks for the online track. I have in preparation some talks for the online track. Someone who hasn't submitted is Rainer Grimm, and he probably will be able to give a talk. And the online track is pre-recorded, so it will help with this, in my opinion. So maybe it will be featuring, and I might have some additional talks online in the user group or somewhere else hosted. And with that, thank you for viewing, and see you next week with the results of the voting.